Here we have a pre-owned 2017 Chevrolet Tahoe. This one comes in the LT trim level. This paint color is iridescent pearl tri-coat. And then we have dune leather interior. For the powertrain, we get a 5.3 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, and that's made it to a 6-speed automatic transmission. This one has a little over 136,000 miles on it, but to the front end here, we get our halogen headlamps along with our LED daytime running lights, and then this one has aftermarket LED fog lights, but really like how well this one's held up. You only see a few paint chips on the front bumper, but looks really good. These are my favorite wheel option here. These are 22-inch aluminum. I just like the design on these. You see them a lot on the Premiers. But passive keyless entry on all 4 doors. To the door panel, power door lock controls, power mirror controls. They do power fold, and they have blind spot monitors and the turn signal indicators in them. And then we have one-touch up and down windows for the front, express down for the back. Rear window lock out there. Electronic child lock button is there. But even the door panel here on this LT, it looks very nice. The Dune just gives you a nice option for the colors. But memory seat functions here. Bose sound system. Headlamp controls, and then we have the traction control, parking sensors, the lane departure, and then we have our power adjustable pedals. We can adjust those here. Foot pedal parking brake. Hood release. Tilt telescope, electronic, and then your hazards button is right there. But here's the power driver's seat with 2-way power lumbar support. And again, for this kind of mileage, you are seeing that kind of wear on the seat. This is starting to come undone. And then what these like to do a lot is where people sit on the side or get in and out and kind of use this for support. This side goes down, this side stays up. So you have like a lopsided feel in a lot of these, but it's just a fun fact there. I do want to give a huge thanks to Chevrolet Buick GMC of Murfreesboro for allowing me to review this Tahoe today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information. I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever pre-owned vehicle you might be interested in. But sitting behind myself here, seat back pockets are on both sides. Space is really good. This does have that Sun Destinations entertainment package, so you do get the sunroof as well as the rear entertainment and the navigation system, which I'll show you here in a minute. But while that's booting up, here we have our rear AC controls with 3-stage heated outboard seats. We can adjust fan speed, cut the whole system off there, adjust temperature, and then not only do you get a 12-volt there, but you also get a 3-prong household plug-in here too. And then we have a little storage compartment there. It looks like this one has a remote hooked up too, but there's a Blu-ray player, and then your lights, LED right there. And then the rear AC vents up top, love having those. And there's a look at the 3rd row, and then you do get a bottle holder on either side. Then there's a 12-volt on the back left there, and again, LED lights. But if you need to, you can hang a shirt on that hook there. Fuel filler. Now as we come around to the back end here, love the tail lights here. Those are upgraded, which I really like. Tow hitch is behind this cover here. And there's your spare tire, exhaust. And then the power lift gate. And so far, I don't want to jinx it, but everything seems to be in good working order on this 17 that has 130-something thousand miles on it. Little storage there. You can power release the 2nd row. You can hit it twice, it actually tumble, and then you can fold that flat there. And you can see the difference when the seat is up compared to when it's down. But to the rear passenger side, you can also use this to fold, and then pretty easy to just pop it back into place. And then our power front passenger seat with the 2-way power lumbar support there. And side pocket, lockable glove compartment there. And this one still has the owner's manuals in it. And again, I can just tell that this has been kept up very nicely. But as we come around to the front, quick look in the engine bay. And there's that 5.3 liter V8. But before we hop in, just a quick look at the blinkers. So there's that. And again, you do get them in the side mirror in the actual glass. And then another fun fact about this one, this does have the crossbars for a luggage rack or something if you want to use that. But let's hop in the driver's seat. So leather wrap steering wheel, again, power tilt telescope, which is really nice. And I really like how this kind of dark brown goes with the dune interior here, that lighter brown. There's the horn. Now over here to the radio, I think this is an 8-inch screen. We get AM, FM, XM, along with Bluetooth audio, and then you have wired CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. You go to that projection menu to use that. Navigation systems here. So you can put in a destination, so on and so forth, zoom in, zoom out. And then you always have your presets, which you can change this in the settings, but your presets down here. So if you have the map up, you can still go to your favorite radio station and listen to that. XM weather, your settings, rear seat reminder, teen driver. And it's nice to have that on this 17. I didn't even know that that had these kind of features on there. And then XM traffic as well. Backup cameras here. You actually get the guidelines that follow you as you turn the steering wheel. And then volume knob here. Click that to turn the mute on. And then you have a little stowaway behind here with the USB-A port. And then menu button here. CD drive. Dual zone automatic climate controls. You can adjust fan speed here, turn the whole system on or off by pressing that button. And then you have a separate setup here for the rear climate if you want to adjust fan direction there, fan speed, or the temperature. And then you can also lock it so that the kids can't play with it in the back. 3-stage heated seats for the front. You can either do the seat back or the seat back and seat bottom, which is nice. You have 2 USB-A's and a 12-volt there. Bottle holders here. Wireless charging pad. Now, I don't think this works on the more modern phones, but specifically older Androids that have that capability will work on this. And then our center console cubby space, removable tray, 12-volt, 2 USB-A's and an aux there, and those go directly to the radio. Little storage there, and you can see that this one has headphones as well. I think this tray is aftermarket, so that was a nice add-on, I think. But up here, garage door transmitter. You do get the lights, LED. You can control the lift gate here. You can set it to 3/4 off or max, and you just hit that button to open or shut it. Sunglasses holder there, and then that turns into the rear passenger mirror. But let's go ahead and slide this roof back. So that's one touch there, all the way behind the cover, which is nice, and then you can close it one touch as well. But there's a look at the back seat from up here. Vanity mirror here. And then back to the steering wheel itself. Left side stalk, you have the blinkers, intermittent wipers here, and then you can actually set the auto mode on or off there. Now you turn it to intermittent, then you can turn it on to get the rain sense going, which I really like that you can cut it on or off from the stalk here. It just makes it that much easier to use depending on your situation. And then your rear wiper right there. And then if you want the rear fluid, push this button. If you want the front fluid, pull that. Now for the shifter, hit the brake, pull down, reverse, neutral drive, and you have your low gear, and you can use the limiter, and you can see what gear you're in, that bottom right-hand corner. Your tow haul mode, push a button there, and then that yellow indicator will come up when it's on. Behind the steering wheel on the left side, we can go through our track list, radio station presets, and behind on the right side, volume up, volume down. Cruise control right there, cancel, set the speed, gap adjust for the forward collision alert, heated steering wheel toggle, and then mute, voice recognition. Use these 4 arrows and this check mark to go through the digital part of the gauge cluster in the middle. You can go to options, change your units of measurement from US to metric there, and then in the info pages, you can go through all of those, and then you can actually adjust what's shown there going back to the options, and then you can go through and turn certain things on or off. But push button start. Finally, here's the key fob with remote start. But next, let's go ahead and take this 2017 Chevy Tahoe LT out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this Tahoe here, gets up to speed pretty nicely. And it's just really quick on its feet. But for this to have 136,000 miles on it, holding up pretty nicely. I want to do a more extended test drive on this just to kind of see what's right and wrong with this. But so far, everything seems to be in tip-top shape. From the engine, I'm getting a few weird kind of sounds, but for the most part, I mean, it's doing a pretty good job at doing what it's supposed to do. I will say that. Now with this having the, I believe these have the cylinder deactivation. Sometimes you can kind of feel that depending on what's going on. Yeah, specifically if you let off or hit the brake, just when it feels like it, you'll get this kind of almost like a gurgle, and that's how you can tell the 4-cylinder mode is on. You can kind of see it now, and then it just kind of goes off. I believe, and this is just what I've heard from people, that kind of affects the reliability of these, because that's just one more thing that causes certain things to go wrong. I don't know if it could be recalibrated or something like that, but I like having it specifically on the highway, like 2-lane, 4-lane highways where the speed limit's 55, 65. It's really good there, but it never really knows when you need to accelerate or slow down or whatever. It's just kind of doing it based on your foot. So a lot of the times it'll drop 4 cylinders and then all of a sudden you need to give throttle, and it kind of like does something weird. I mean, it does what it's supposed to, but it just feels weird. So that's the only downside of it, in my opinion. But it's got like a slight putter when you get it up to speed. Again, it's not necessarily bothersome to me or something I would worry about. I just kind of wonder what it is. Like, is it an exhaust leak or something like that? It's possible, because this does again have 136,186 miles. It's almost a 10-year-old car, honestly. And the suspension feels kind of weird. I hit a bump and it did something wild, but almost like a weird kind of shake. Yeah, something definitely ain't right there, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it dangerous, but you can tell when something's not driving the way you're used to it driving. I've driven a ton of Tahoes in this body style, so I know when something is off with the suspension. What it is, I don't know. I just know it's something ain't right. But to get a Tahoe this cheap, that might be something I'm willing to look over, or at least just fix down the road. But again, mechanically, just how the transmission shifting is very surprising how well it's shifting there. The engine feels strong. Again, I kind of hear noises, but for the most part, it's driving like I expect it to. But I want to give a huge thanks to Chevrolet Buick GMC of Murfreesboro for allowing me to do this extended test drive on this Tahoe. I'll leave a link below to this inventory in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these pre-owned closer to home, click that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever used vehicle you might be interested in. But I like that it has that almost boat-like feel to it. I feel like the newer Tahoes, they still ride like this, but it doesn't feel as plush. When you hit bumps, everything's going towards a more sporty feel, I think, when you're driving. So even the newer RAV4s, which I say in a lot of my reviews, I've owned a 2018 that I just did not like the steering at all. Even those have a tighter steering feel, and a lot of people surprisingly don't like that extra feeling of security. They rather the steering be loose and comfortable as opposed to feeling more secure, which I don't agree with. But again, a lot of drivers these days, you know, they miss the older stuff. They miss not having auto stop and not having cylinder deactivation. So it is what it is. We're about to get on the interstate here. I'm going to try to open her up if I can. And luckily, no one's behind me. Here we go. She's strong, she is. It got up to speed really nicely, and I just love the roar you get from this V8. Now I'm gonna have the cruise at like 70, so we'll see how it does with the cylinder deactivation. Maybe we'll do 65 because they don't know how fast they want to go in front of me. But V8's on now, and as I kind of adjust the speed, you hit the brake, it goes to that 4-cylinder mode there. We tried it 62, I don't know. And again, this is like one of the instances where it doesn't necessarily work because you're not out here by yourself 99% of the time. So unless you can actually be out on a road where you can hold your speed and no one else in your way, specifically not having adaptive cruise control, it's going to be a bit more difficult to get the 4-cylinder deactivation to work. And by working, I mean just working for a long period of time. So mostly when you're letting off throttle, it works pretty well. Like as I'm kind of coming into this on-ramp here, but then as soon as I hit the gas, you're in that V8 mode. But all in all, these are great SUVs to buy pre-owned. You can get them cheaper with this kind of mileage because down the road, you might have to worry about lifters, you might have to worry about this and that, but for the most part, they're those kind of SUVs that you can still beat into the ground if you want to. Like some of the older Tahoes you see that have had this done to them, have that done to them, they still ride good, they're still drivable. They just don't have to be perfect to be perfect for you, if that makes sense. And this one's no different. Again, the space in here is great. The powertrains are relatively easy on this model year before they put the 8-speed in there just to get those going. I feel like those have a higher failure rate for whatever reason, but I could be wrong. But I do feel like those are easier to work on than the 8-speeds. Only other thing is this 5.3 having the cylinder deactivation. If there was a way to override that, that might be better off for you, cause less trouble down the road. But again, from a fuel economy perspective, it helps. But still a solid SUV if you want something that can carry the whole family, tow, and you have tons of room when you fold the seats down. So with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2017 Chevy Tahoe LT.